Hi, I hope you guys are all having a lovely day, and today I am building a small tiny home meant for an elder sim who especially loves knitting. Now, I've had this idea for a while and I've wanted to execute it, but I haven't had the time and I've also been pretty lazy. I was feeling very creative today though, and I thought I'd attempt it. Now, the thing about trying to make something like this is I knew I wanted a rocking chair and I knew I wanted certain assets. But with these certain assets, I also decided to do a tiny home, which made all these things harder to incorporate. I wanted antiques, I wanted to feel really lived in, and I didn't even have enough room for a technical living room. With all of these complications, I think I still did pretty well, although it was a little bit different. If you are an elder that lives in here, you can have bad back problems considering there's a flight of stairs to your room. I do love how it turned out though, and I think it's a really unique shape, if anything. I also used landscaping, which I never use whatsoever, and I decided to use it for this build, and I think it is probably one of my favorite backyards I have ever done. Right here you can see me struggling to decide about the concrete things. I knew I wanted a balcony from the start right there, and I didn't want to use wood paneling or something generic there. This is me struggling with the door, because no doors match in this game. And EA knows, but they don't care enough. Yeah, I struggled with this for a while. Overall, when I was trying to sort all this out, the roofing scared me. It was a lot easier than I thought. I did do kind of generic roofing, but overall, I think it looks pretty cool, and I love how the back turned out. It was very nifty, if I say. Now, you'll actually see me doing it right here. I had an idea for the pillars because I wanted the top to look supported. I didn't want it to be obviously just hanging there, because even though the Sims can get by with unrealistic rules, it's fun to pretend that there's laws in physics, you know? And I was trying to decide the colors. I didn't know if I wanted to have light or dark. I was gonna go somewhat dark, and then I realized it didn't really match very well, and the roofing ideas I didn't really work with it. Then I was trying different roofing colors, and it took me a hot minute. I didn't really like most of them. I thought like this was too dark for me. I wanted to be a little bit more brighter, and then this just looked odd. I was trying to find a good color. I finally decided on that I want light, and then you'll see me go through all the wall trims, and it takes me a little bit because I felt the need to try every single one in case I missed out on the best. After that, I have a quick spur of the moment thing, and I decide I want a top roofing area here, and then I realize that will not work as there's a balcony right there, and I am very dumb for trying it. Once I give up on that idea, I leave the pillars for now, hoping maybe I'll get away with it and move on to the back, which I had plenty of ideas for and didn't know how long it would actually take me. Once I started working on the back, I started to get more of an idea of what I actually wanted to accomplish with this build, and the actual concept started to form my mind, and I was really excited to actually execute it. As I move to the front again is when I start doing some pathing. I always like to add a little bit to most of my builds just so to pretend it's a little more realistic. In reality, it isn't. And then this is when I get the idea for terraforming and how I wanted some almost hills to add some more layers to the actual lot. I very rarely use terraforming, so this was very odd for me. I thought I could use stairs to get up there, and turns out your sim can actually walk up there. You see me testing it right now. And I add 2 trees to balance it out and give it a little more dimension, and you'll later see me add a 3rd to just make it pop a little bit more, if anything. Now, as I'm editing here, I realize I don't have enough tiles, and I bring that in, and I realize then that I can't fit stairs where I wanted them. So we resort to putting the stairs in the back. Now, if you are an elder sim who cannot climb the stairs, this is not your house. Although they're accessible, it is very steep and there's no railing, so I would not advise if you are a clumsy and prone to injury person to go up there. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I thought it was a cool style all the same, and I'd like to think with the sim that I'd have inhabited this is still very youthful in some aspects and is very active and can still do things, whilst they also love to sit in the rocking chair and knit, of course. This is when I begin to start adding some greenery to the house and start landscaping, adding decoration, and beginning to get the idea for the garden. Now, in reality, when you add a lot of plants, it becomes an infestation. You add one plant and then you're adding 20 plants. That's just the way it goes. And I went a little bit overboard, but I think with the style of the house, it really suits it, and it definitely reflects the state of mind that I'd like to pretend my sim was in. Now, I do add a few other decorative props, and I was going to add this pipe, but unfortunately it glitches into the top half of the building and ends up in the main bedroom, which doesn't work very well if there's a giant pipe in the middle of the bedroom. Now, I do add the garbage can while I'm decorating so I don't forget, and I decide I'm going to fence it off. And then I decide I'm not going to do that, because in reality I wanted this to be kind of untamed and a little bit wild in the back, and I wanted it to seem a little bit rural, but also kind of having a lot of hobbies and reflection of the person that lives there. And I think I did a pretty good job in encapsulating it, and I really like how it turned out. Up next is one of my favorite things that I did in this build, which is the rocking chair under the tree. I end up decorating it a little bit more further into the build and add some more shrubbery and things around it that makes it feel very much how I'd imagined, very homey and also kind of rural-esque. And I'd like to imagine a elder sim sitting there and reflecting on their life at times, their children, and or even having their grandchildren over and them having a get together, them sitting on the grandfather's lap. Honestly, the story possibilities are endless, and I just really like how it turned out. This is when I start adding a little more decoration and things to the back, and I start kind of going wild to a certain extent, and I add some paintings. I like to pretend that that is her when she was younger, but it honestly depends how you make your sim. You'll see me kind of frantically going back and forth at this moment. I'm just adding a few other decorations that I find and I had forgotten about actually in the wall hanging decorations. So I add some shovels and a hose, just things that make it feel even more alive. And I also find a steel pipe or a corridor thing. Never knew that existed. And this is where the main event comes in. This is where I get to all the landscaping, and I tend to go kind of overboard on a lot of my shrubbery landscaping, but for this build I wanted to keep it tame and I wanted to be sophisticated. I still did a lot, but for me it was definitely a step down. Most of my builds look overgrown, which is concerning, but I think I did good. This is me messing up on a tree. I ended up moving it. I couldn't get that balanced out whatsoever. And I decided to have a pathway. I really love how this pathway turned out, and I barely used the actual drawn on pathways since I got this game. And I had two of them. I made one to the bedroom as well. And I think they're both really pretty and kind of make the area look a little bit more used. Now this is when I start furnishing everything, and I actually originally realized I didn't have a place for the bathroom. So I make a little 4x4, and I question if I can fit everything in there. Now you'll see me struggle a little bit. I try to get the toilet moved over, and I have to have all the necessities, you know, toilet paper and stuff. And I had a little coat rack, some dish stuff, and then the sink was where I had a little bit of issues. I ended up pushing into the wall just a little bit. You can't see it on the other side, it's just glitched into the wall, and there's just enough room for your sim to get by and be able to do their business. I also decorate the wall and go through a few paintings to figure out what I want. Now there is a mirror above this at the moment, but I switched this out on the gallery page because I thought the mirror was kind of inaccurate for the fact that it was so high your sim actually couldn't look into it. So I switched that out for just a medicine cabinet. And right now I'm just adding some toothbrushes and toothpaste / hand soap, etc. And then I'm basically done the bathroom. I also noticed the shower has a weird glitched thing. It turns out the light was in it. I moved that and it was good to go. This is when I start kind of designing the main antique old aesthetic of the build that I wanted to encapsulate. I'd like to think I did it pretty well. There is no living room, this is more foyer, but I wanted to make it feel like when you walked into your grandparents when you were a child, and they just had all these old, odd, collectible things, flower pots, vases, strange hobbies that you'd never imagine you'd do, you know? And I also find this lamp, I thought it was perfect, and I line it up. This is just me kind of cluttering the place up, making it lived in. And then I also find a few kitchen things that I want to use, so you'll see me run back and forth to the kitchen every once in a while and just place those. And then I also was debating, because I wanted to fill this wall up very bad, I felt it looked really empty, so I was debating putting the ship there or the mosaic, and I was going to move the ship over there, but then I actually realized that this mosaic painting looked better, and I was kind of shocked in that fact, but I liked it. I had a little bit of knitting because that was the original theme. A Kleenex, who knows, you might have a running nose one day. Some books from right across the way. A urine, I like to pretend it was a dead family member. Kind of dark, but I like to make the stories up. And then I used to have one of these magazine holders, and it was about 20 years old. And I always just was in awe that people use them, considering nowadays it's all like electronic. And it was just old magazines that hadn't been looked at in years. So I wanted to add one, just kind of as a reminiscing moment. You'll see me swap over to the kitchen, and this is probably the part I struggled the most in the entire house, because I had to fit a whole kitchen in here and at least somewhat the living necessities, and make it look lived in. I was trying to figure out where I wanted the kitchen, and I didn't want the room to feel too washed out, but I also didn't want it to feel too bright, so you'll see me switch the color a little bit. And then I decided I want to use a pillar inside to section it off. I really like how that looks. When I was trying to fit all of the different things in the kitchen, it was a little bit of a nightmare because I had 4 spots to do all of it. I did get everything working though, and it is all completely usable, including the stove, the sink. I wanted the cabinets to feel rustic and that they've been there for a very long time, so I swapped between a few, and then I finally decided to use some base game ones, and I think they really fit the aesthetic of the whole build. You'll see me kind of look around trying to figure out how I want it lined up. I was really afraid it wouldn't be usable, and this is when I remembered that I needed a sink. I debated letting them use the one in the washroom, but then I realized it was kind of unethical, and I decided I'd actually add one. I seen a birdhouse in the catalog. I have never used that before, and I thought it was so cute, so I got that. And then I was looking through different objects to furnish with, and I seen this beautiful knitting cart, and I thought it was perfect for under the sink. I also wanted the kitchen to feel a little more full, so I added some cabinets on the top without cluttering too much. And then I remember I needed garbage, so I add that, and I then go and I add the fire alarm. I look through a few objects, and I see this beautiful metal thing that I want to add, so I put it in the room so I don't forget. I almost finish up here. I'm just going through a few more knickknacks and a few things I see to add outside. This paint I thought was great for the birdhouse. And I had a little mat. I actually spent a while looking for it because I couldn't decide which one I wanted. And then I had some curtains, and that's basically all. You'll see me come down a little bit later to add a few more things, but not too much. As I'm looking around here, I remember that I want to add curtains to the rest of the area. And then I knew I wanted a fireplace from the beginning, so I moved everything over, and I decided for a smaller one so I can put a TV on it. I run down to the kitchen because I find some herbs I want to put above the door, and I also add some more pots and pans because I felt that space is a little bit empty. And then I go back up front and I quickly furnish the top. Now, in the actual gallery version, I realized I did something very stupid. The bed is in front of the actual door. So I end up switching the room around. It looks the exact same. The only difference is the bed's on the other side, and the fireplace is pushed a little bit to the corner so that the door is still accessible, and it's functional. Now, again, the room looks the exact same. I just had to reverse it all, but you'll see me build it in the original edition before. That's basically all I have to say. I add a few more knickknacks to the house, and then it's basically finalized. I really hope you guys enjoy this build. You can download it off the gallery by looking at my name, Shaynajj. It is completely CC free, and all you need are the packs that are included in it, and you can put it into your own world. It's on a 15 by 20 lot, and I really like how it turned out.